Get out your feelings. Yeah. Come on into the den, tap in and tell a friend. My name is JJ7000, the most feared debater on this planet. Sit your ass down, because I know you can't stand it. We got a special guest in the building today, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We got a special guest in the building. I'm talking about an elder teacher, man. I had to get him out the back chat because them youngers was back there being disrespectful. You can't cast the pearls in front of Sweden. That's right.
Absolutely was.
Yeah. Before I get into the meat and potatoes, y'all, we got to introduce the queen of the Lion's Den. I'm talking about Sister Karima. Go ahead, queen.
Welcome to the Lion's Den. Yeah. You know, oh wait, which queen? I'm sorry. I'm the champ. That's the queen. I'm sorry. The headphone's the queen. And I just gotta be
Sister Karima. Go ahead, girl.
No, I'm gonna let the queen talk before the champ. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Never mind me. I'm trying to.
Karim, we gotta keep it the same way. Go ahead. Love you. All right. Now we got the Lions Den ladies champion in the building, and she's bringing her elder to the forefront, man, to teach these youngers what it is about Ifa. I'm talking about DJ Genesis, the Lions Den ladies champion. Go ahead.
Yeah, so listen, I am DJ Genesis, and I'm also Olorisha. I'm a priest of Ifa. I'm a Orisha priest. And in the back chat, they were talking about a lot of things, asking a lot of questions. I said, you know what? Rather than me, as a young priest, try to answer your questions, I'm going to bring you a scholar in Ifa. And I said, I'm going to let him answer your questions so you could be very clear on what things are. Because a lot of time what happened is when women try to be in these male spaces, they want to try to challenge them and this, that, the other. And I said, you know what? I know that Baba has been in the ring with the best of them. Okay. Baba Yashabaya has a doctorate in theology. He was a pastor. He was a part of the Hebrew Israelites for the longest. He was there when Ben Ami was setting up his land in Corsicana, Texas. He was there when people were creating the language and things like that, for breaking down language etymology. Baba Yashabaya has so much experience. He has a doctorate in theology, so he has over 1,500 books in his library. And the list can go on. He's what you would call ascended master.
Yes.
So that's one thing that people don't understand. Ascended master. So it's one thing to challenge him, but it's another thing to not listen. He's 79 years old, and I get it that people want to challenge. You can challenge, but when you challenge and you don't want to give respect and be quiet and let people teach, and now it becomes like a debate. That's where the thing. What did Henry Clark said? He says, listen, I debate my equals, those that are not, I teach. And so there has to be a level of respect that comes to our elders in that level.
Right. And like I say, I felt the energy back there. I'm like, you're not trying to learn, you're trying to antagonize the elder. Baba Ashiya, how you say that? Yasha'aba. Can you help me? Yasha'aba.
Yeah.
That's right. And this when I came in the back, I said, who's that with all them books? See, that was the first thing that impressed me. And then I started listening to him, like, okay, he dropping some jewels. And then these guys, well, the main one was this guy that calls himself Jesus Black. He's a Gnostic. So he's gonna be, have that kind of dissonance in him. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, ladies and gentlemen. So I said, no, we're gonna get the elder in front of a place where he can teach in peace. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let the elder do his thing, introduce himself. I have to step out for a minute, so DJ Genesis will be running the show. I got to go peek in on side of the TV because they got my debate going over there where I just beat the brakes off two face. You know what I mean? So I got to go chill. I'll be back then. All right? But this hey, I got the keys. And here's my announcement, ladies and gentlemen. This is my new teacher. JJ will be studying, Mandika Mali will be studying Ifa. I'm from the transition over. So go ahead, teacher. Go ahead and do your thing.
All right. I want to say Modupe means thank you, my brother. I appreciate you coming on the fine line and protecting the rear. We take it upon you taking up the rear and you put them in place. What I want to say. Now, are you the brother that wants the copy of the language? from the Hebrew language book that we put together?
No, that wasn't me. I came in last, and I put my foot on his neck when he started. They was questioning you, and it was being disrespectful.
Okay, well then okay, that's another brother. Now, and like I said, even with my experience coming through the Hebrew community, I still brought Ifa along with, because there's many things in the Hebrew concept that's founded in Ifa. So I was able to bring some things along in the custom and move to the next level. I want to say Modu Pay to my brothers and his protectiveness, and thank for the platform. If we ever expect to pull the organic people out of the muck and mud, then we got to get out from under this Eurocentric mindset and
That's right.
ideology and philosophy. And you can't keep fighting the white man stuff with the white man stuff. You got to find the origin, because everything he got, he's known for copying. Matter of fact, in the book, Ephaism, in Ephaism, the complete work of Arumila, it tells you under a particular page called the white man. And the white man in Ifa is not a color, person of skin color. It is an energy and a principle that seeks to overthrow the divinity of our ancestors, to replace it. And he's showing this on a daily basis with all his robots and all his inventions, because the man he created in Ifa could not speak. There is a passage in there, and if you haven't had the book, I've got the book, and I will go to, I'm going to Ifa is the complete work of Orumila.
The book is called Ephaism, the complete work of Arumila. And that book is like $500 to get. By the way, the books that Baba has in his library, some of them are thousands of dollars. I just heard that Umar just lost a bunch of books, like $5,000 worth of books or whatever.
This is the book.
Yep, go ahead.
See, documentation beats conversation. I'm going to page 200 in the book, and it tells you about this being we call the white man. Remember, it says on page 200, he came in the world under the Odu Irete Meiji. See, everything that comes in the world comes in the world under a specific order. Ifa is not religion. It is a science of how to deal with the celestial realm in a terrestrial world. That's why it's so powerful. And more folks don't do it, because they want to make it into a religion by adding cultural custom tradition and make it a burden more than an asset. Every family needs somebody in that family that knows the art of divination and understand these Odus and how to interpret them to keep down mental illness. The reason mental illness is so high, because we're trying to figure out a spiritual thing in a terrestrial world, when your Ori, which is your inner spirit conscience, and your heart is out of balance. No other religion other than Buddhism may tell you about become equal with your source, but they don't tell you how to get there. Ifa gives you the formula, the binary code, and the algorithm how to get there. There's a thing called African fractal. It's a known fact that our system of mathematics runs the entire world today. Even your white scholars have testified with their Fulbright scholarships. They learn this particular algorithm or binary code, and they call it African fractal. Sister Monica, could you pull up the African fractal so they can know? We want to teach with signs and symbols and show and tell. That way, there is no guesswork in it. It ain't what I'm thinking. It's that's running the world today. Ifa science runs this world today. So then I'll get to this. Get what's here in this Ifa works of Orumila. Is the way you can help me out with that, my beloved goddess. Just bear along with us, because we're ready today. Trust me, this is my day. So can you pull up the thing we did on fractals and how they went and spent big money? This is how powerful it is. Neo, one love. Okay, happy to see you. Welcome. I should say, hey, Cowboy. Sister Genesis. I know she ain't going on vacation.
Can you see my screen? So I just shared my screen. Just like share the screen.
Okay, let's should
I play part 1 or 2? Should I go get right into it, or
go get right into it, because we want people to see. Well, he's talking about the important. They call it African practice.
So I tracked down one of the folks who makes these things. This guy in Mali, just outside of Bamako, and I asked him, "How come you're making fractal fences? Because nobody else is." And his answer was very interesting. He said, "Well, if I lived in the jungle, I would only use the long rows of straw, because they're very quick and they're very cheap. Doesn't take much time, doesn't take much straw." He said the wind and dust goes through pretty easily. Exponent for the relationship between wind speed and height and the wind engineering gambler. So these guys are right on target for a practical use of scaling technology. The most complex example of an algorithmic approach to fractals that I found was actually not in geometry. It was in a symbolic code. And this was Bamana sand divination. And the same divination system is found all over Africa. You can find on the East Coast as well as the West Coast, and often the symbols are very well preserved. So each of these symbols has 4 bits. It's a 4-bit binary word. You draw these lines in the sand randomly, and then you count off. And if it's an odd number, you put down 1 stroke, and if it's an even number, you put down 2 stroke. And they did this very rapidly. And I couldn't understand where they were getting. They only did the randomness 4 times. I couldn't understand where they were getting the other 12 symbols. And they wouldn't tell me. They said, no, I can't tell you about this. I said, well, look, I'll pay you. You can be my teacher, and I'll come each day and pay you. I said, it's not a matter of money. This is a religious matter. And finally, out of desperation, I said, well, let me explain George Cantor in 1877. And I started explaining, think I was there in Africa. And they got very excited when they saw the Cantor set. And one of them said, come here, I think I can help you out here. And so he took me through the initiation ritual for a Bamana priest. And of course, I was only interested in the math. So the whole time he kept shaking his head going, I didn't learn it this way. But I had to sleep with a cola nut next to my bed, buried in sand, and give 7 coins to 7 lepers, and so on. And finally, he revealed the truth of the matter. And it turns out it's a...
But hold on, before we go into that, what was happening here was he got initiated into Babaluaye. Babaluaye is the deity of leprosy and like illness and sickness, right?
Right.
That is the Orisha that owns his head. So that's why he was given like the thing to give something to 7 lepers and this, that, the other. So he's just very dismissive about what his task was to do with the initiation. Like he had to do this and then put a thing over here or whatever, big deal, no big, Now this is a TED talk. I'm not sure if anybody knows what TED is. TED is a very well-known platform where this interview right here got over 1 million views. And he has a book, Ron English has a book called African Fractals, where he's going into Africa talking about the communities and how they shape their communities based on like a fractal, which is like pretty much around like a thing that starts small, then grows, but also has like the same format as you go out. And this is what his thing is about. And so he got $1 million. What was it? Carnegie. Fulbright. He got a $7 million Fulbright scholarship to go into Africa and study African fractals. And in his study, then he also discovered divination. So as he was there, just discovering how the lands were, how the communities were built, he ended up seeing a Babalawo who did the divination system for him. And then he saw that there was a binary code within the system and then began to research further. So that's the context given there. So let's go.
Pseudo-random number generator. They're using deterministic chaos. When you have a 4-bit symbol, you then put it together with another one sideways. So even plus odd gives you odd. Odd plus even gives you odd. Even plus even gives you even. Odd plus odd gives you even.
Let's go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want you probably because that particular to the right, you see that those 2 marks and the double marks at the bottom. On the other side, you got a mark. Those are called odus in the language. And that tells a whole story when that falls on either on the opele or chain, even with the shells. That gives out a patch key or story how to deal with the question that you ask or the situation. Sister Monica, the first one to your left, which one is that? The 2121.
The Odu of 2121.
Yes, Odu 2121. Because this is a language as well, people. It ain't just some lines. It's a communication. So, what is that particular one there?
So I'm going to show it to you. So, all right. So, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, there you go. Bring it up.
All right. So 2-1. That is Ofun Meiji. Ofun Meiji.
And what does Ofun Meiji tell us?
Usually that means like birth, rebirth.
Yeah. So now you can go into the system and pull it up, but that's Ofun Meiji. And then there's another one that you go back to and pick them, and this is what you call a combination. So we got a combination, and the next one is 1221. So these are two. This is a combination.
All right. So 1221 is Oshe Meiji.
So Ofun Oshe Meiji, and that will give us a whole layout how to deal with that particular individual. Interpretation. Go down.
Let me I'll bring up the actual Odu.
Okay, yeah, bring it up. So we see how important it is. No other religion does it. Only this spirituality. They got thing with. I got the tarot cards. Man, pull them tarot cards. I mean, it can only carry you so far. But when you understand these various Odus, this gives you a roadmap to understand what's going on. Okay. For instance, here we go.
All right, hold on. Let me that's in a different language. So let me see. I'm gonna go to Ofun Meiji and what that means.
Yeah.
So Ofun Meiji, or in some tradition, is a significant Odu symbolic pattern in Ifa divination system associated with completion, wholeness, fulfillment of destiny. It represents the culmination of life's journey, emphasizing achieving goals and realizing one's full potential. Ofun also deals with the themes of revelation, time, inheritance, and the significance of sight, often symbolized by light and purity. So with that and then and that's the 2121.
Okay. What that means is every home needs someone in the home that can either be a priest or a priestess to cut down on family and mental illness. By doing that, you would sit down and you would do a reading, and then you can also get a remedy or a formula. And then you, for instance, it was talking about, well, you read what about purity and everything. There are spiritual baths that you can do, and you need a sense of knowledge of herbalism and these things. It all comes into study. Well, why is this so important? Because we are people that are close to spiritual by nature than any species on the planet. We work off a spiritual, but sometimes they get mixed up in terrestrial. So that's why it's important. And red thing, if you notice among the Hebrew community, they've got certain laws and things that governs what you do and how to stay pure, how to stay clean, how to balance. But the tool they was given was called the Urim Theorem, how to go to God and ask questions. Well, everybody said, well, let's pray. Prayer was never a thing brought to the Europeans showed up. We didn't go there and do all that. We would go to the priest. They would divine and tell us what we could or should not do based on the readings. Now we run around here guessing. All right, what we got here now? Oshe Meiji. So what he was telling us in that in Africa, for the sake of conversation, that we had an ancient system that was able to help us in our family structures and growth. Our all-time list what I'll look at Amistar, and CK was the one that really popped my ears. When CK was talking to John Adams, and they asked him about the Mendi tribe. He said, when the Mendi is in trouble, we would go to before time and invoke, not in particular, but invoke our ancestors into us. Well, in Ifa, it says that the Orishas live within us. Our ancestors live within us. We all time build memorials to our ancestors, but the actual power is that you are a walking, living shrine and manifestation of the ancient people before time. Not just 500. We're talking about 2.5 billion years ago.
So O'Shea Meiji in Ifa tradition, what that deals with is it's associated with transformation, the
Right.
appointment of rituals, and realizing potential. O'Shea Meiji also expresses themes of femininity, the experience of being a victim, and exercise of revenge. The detailed, transformation and ritual. So what happens is that when a certain Odu gets cast, you are told what's the stories behind it, and then you are told what you do to fix the situation. So it's not like a tarot reading where you're just told, oh yeah, something's coming up. No, you get told what's going on, and then you get told, okay, this is how you're either doing good in this situation, or you're balanced in a situation. So if O'Shea Meiji were to come up, right, transformation, importance of rituals, realizing potential, femininity, being a victim, right? Either you're balanced or you're imbalanced in that. If you're balanced, you do a ritual to continue the balance. If you're imbalanced, you do a ritual to get back to balance. So that's
and the other thing about it is that no matter what comes in this world, we call good or bad, it has to come in the world under a particular Odu. And in that Odu, it tells you how to address that thing. That's the power that you have. That's why Baba Karada says, if I can mend a broken world, because it knows how to mend a broken world by understanding what came in the world, under what sign. And even in the Bible, it says you were born with an angel, a guardian angel. Some say, well, you were born with a power animal among the so-called Native Americans. But we say that as an Orisha that comes with you and walk with you and guide you as your guide. They don't interfere. They just give you a guide. And a lot of times it's that still small voice or that unction that comes. And if you can check it with I told everybody needs to understand a divination system, whether it be Pokara shells, Marine de Lagoons, Opele, Ikim. We don't do tarot because tarot is a late thing. And the origin of it is not what we're dealing. We're dealing with elevation. If I'm going too fast, tell Baba to slow down. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Why it's important to understand religion has its place. Spirituality has its growth.
So I wanted to play a little bit more of this TED Talk so they could actually see, because the question is that you're saying that this all is the origin of binary code and it's like the beginning of the computer. So let's go into how he breaks this down. Let's go.
It's addition modulo 2, just like in the parity bit check on your computer. And then you take this symbol and you put it back in, so it's a self-generating diversity of symbols. They're truly using a kind of deterministic chaos in doing this. Now, because it's a binary code, you can actually implement this in hardware. What a fantastic teaching tool that should be in African engineering schools. And the most interesting thing I found out about it was historical. In the 12th century, Hugo of Santillana brought it from Islamic mystics into Spain. And there it entered into the alchemy community as geomancy, the divination through the earth. This is a geomantic chart drawn by for King Richard II in 1390. Leibniz, the German mathematician, talked about geomancy in his dissertation called De Combinatoria. And he said, well, instead of using one stroke and two strokes, let's use a 1 and a 0. And we can count by powers of 2, right? Ones and zeros, the binary code. George Boole took Leibniz's binary code and created Boolean algebra, and John von Neumann took Boolean algebra and created the digital computer. So all these little PDAs and laptops, every digital circuit in the world started in Africa. And I know Brian Eno says there's not enough African in computers, but I don't think there's enough African history in Brian Eno. So let me end with just a few words about applications that we've found for this. And you can go to our website. The applets are all free. They just run in the browser.
So they created applications based on this entire system And so I wanted to address the fact that, okay, because people say, oh, well, they used Islamic geomancy.
No.
But is there a difference between Ifa geomancy and Ifa geomancy? What is the connection between all these divinations systems, be it the Urim Thummim, Islamic divination? What is the connection?
And the thing is that it's all born out of Ifa. It's all born out of Ifa. Each one borrowed from the other one to create. It's like an evolution or growth or transition. You took this and from that and you added this to it and that to it and that to it, and it evolved to a certain level. But remember, without the base binary system, you don't have the rest of them. So Ifa is the foundation of what we call our technology today for our AI, which means ancestral intelligence. It is the system that everything runs off to this day, even our cell phones. You know, so Ifa has more impact on daily life growth than any religion or thing out there that you can come up with. There's none like it. As a matter of fact, in the book Ifaism, it said, and I think I put it up on your chart, it is the oldest philosophy known to mankind. So no matter how far back you go, it starts with the origin of our people. Now, we looked up, that was a young man by the name of Albert Perry. His DNA goes back, his Y chromosome went back for as 340,000 years ago. So if you don't want to accept 2.5 billion, let's take on the 340,000 years. Well, according to, and watch this, and this is not to upset, but a lot of folks run around talking about the Bible. What does the Bible timeline start? Because there is a timeline for it. Well, let me give you the answer. You got that right there, but slide that aside. The guy that started the chronology and timeline that we have today, the people going by name was Archbishop Ursher. And this is the white boy that gave you your biblical timeline that more folks, him. What did he say the world started, how the world started, when the world started? And he was born in 1581, died 1656. And what in the hell does he know? Well, let's see, the world obeys. And what did he say? Archbishop Ursula. Let's see what the old boy said. And everybody followed this boy's concept on how the world got started. There it is. James Ursher. January, okay. Okay. Can you want to read that for us, Sister Monica? I mean, I just want everybody to see that we're not making this up. Church of Ireland Archbishop, etc. between 1625 and 1650. He was a prolific Irish scholar, a church leader who today is famous for his identification of the genius letters of the church, Father Ignatius of Antioch, and for his chronology that sought to establish the time and date of creation as the entrance of the night preceding the 23rd day of October, the year before Christ, 4004 BC, around 6 p.m. on the 22nd of October, 4004 BC. So he's saying that the world started on October the 23rd or 22nd around 4 BC. Now here's a man's Y chromosome. That's 4004 BC. Now in BC, you count down. AD, you count up. We got a man's Y chromosome goes back 340,000 years. How many years between 340,000 years and 4004 BC? How many years is that? Remember, this man is the father of all men. His is 340,000 years. So why do I look at Adam and Eve when we got folks older than Adam and Eve people? Why do I look into Kemet when we got people that's older than Kemet? Boy, that was even thing called a Kemet. No attack, just facts. And you got fossils and things that already tell you this thing.
Well, the thing about it, the Bible starts off, Genesis starts off with the creation of the earth. So whenever the earth was created would be when Genesis started. So even if you're saying So even if you're saying the earth started billions of years ago or whatever, that's when the story of Genesis starts.
Well, let's just see. Who wrote the book of Genesis?
It don't matter who wrote it.
Yes, it has to,
The
because whoever
chronology,
authored it, the author of the chronology of it, had to write in order for us to get a data timeline. You can't negate, when it comes to it, you cannot negate time. Time is a part of the create process. The book says, and the evening and morning was the first day. So that it's a time involved in there. How are you going to dismiss when in the book in Genesis says that
so
the evening
it
and the
starts
morning?
on the first day.
Huh?
So yeah, so right there it tells you that it starts on the
Evening
first
and
day.
the morning. What evening
Yeah,
and what morning was the first day?
the
What day?
first day of planet Earth.
Huh?
The first day of planet Earth.
Planet Earth. And what day was that? What
Day
time?
one.
Day
Was
one.
that Monday, Tuesday,
No,
Wednesday, Sunday?
there was no Monday, Tuesday. I mean, if you want to go with your
Right, right.
European
Because it says day
ideologies,
one.
it said
Okay,
day one. It was the first day.
okay. Then what would be day one? Called a BC before. So how you have a day one? If now if you pull up the
The Bible doesn't tell you
why
how many
shouldn't it?
years
Why
the
shouldn't it
earth
tell
was
us?
here.
Why shouldn't it tell us? Why, if we're going to count on it and it to be our authority on life, why wouldn't it tell? What it tells us all the other books. It tells about when who wrote it, when. It has a timeline on it. Why is Genesis out there without a timeline? Or for instance, if I typed in the writers of the priesthood of that wrote the book of, because it wasn't Moses, because even the rabbis say they attributed the 5 books of the Torah to Moses. Moses wasn't even around when this was done. So how did he get the data to write about Genesis? Where did the data come from? And don't tell me it was already built in, because remember, his name was Shemaiah before he named him Moses. So the book of Genesis,
The way the data came from, the data came from the Most High. The Most
and who
High,
is the Most High? And who is the Most High?
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Now, how many gods was in existence while Yahweh is on the planet?
Well, while he was on the planet,
Yeah, while we are on the planet.
I don't know. He created a lot of other gods by the time that he created the planet.
No, why would God create other gods to challenge him if he was the only God?
They weren't supposed to challenge him.
Monica, go to Proverbs 8th chapter, verse 22.
They weren't supposed to challenge him.
It's supposed to, come on now.
Other gods were supposed to serve him.
Why wouldn't the all-knowing God know that these other entities was not going to challenge if he's all-knowing?
I didn't tell you he was all-knowing. I didn't tell you whether he was all-knowing or not.
Okay, they claim that God is all-knowing.
Let's go talk to who claim it.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people say that you're all-powerful, all-knowing, and there's no failure.
So I got an answer for a lot of people.
Okay, here we go. Genesis, go to Proverbs, the 8th chapter. I'm gonna stand in the book and I'm gonna come back. This what I'm trying to show the importance of what Ifa says and give us a history of the world before this world. Most people don't understand that that was the world before this, and we all came into this reality from another existing situation. And it talks about that. Everything will replenish. How can a thing replenish if it never existed? And replenish the earth and multiply. So it must have been something before that in order for us to replenish. So it says, the Lord brought me forth as the first of his works. You may be reading from the NIV. Give me the KJV. That's the NIV. Can you give me the KJV? So everybody used to the International Version. That's the worst translation out there. So let's go back to the KJV. Now, I'm not trying to be no smart ass anything. I'm only going by what we learned through the years. It's my study in the priesthood, in the church, and when I came into the understanding that we are spiritual beings in a terrestrial world. So to understand the importance of knowing who I am and what I am depends on my future and my participation and my gift to the world. So here it says, and this is wisdom. If you go to go to was at 8:1, it says wisdom speaking. So wisdom is one that's speaking here. And the Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, but from the beginning, or ever the earth was. Stop. So when this happened, there was no earth. When there was no depth, I was brought forth. When there was no fountain abound with water, before the mountain was ever settled. These are things that happened before this thing we call the world when the day started. That was already in preparation. Before he prepared the heavens, I was there. And when he set up, it comes on the face of the deep. Next verse. When he established the clouds above, and when the strength of the fountain was deep, when he gave the sea its decree, that the water should not pass its command, when he appointed the foundation of the earth. That's your directions. Now, then I was by him as one brought up with him. We're not the same. So who's this other entity there that's with the creator when it's all going on? And I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitation part of the earth, and my delight was in the sons of men. That's what the scripture says. And what can we deduct, analyze from that statement? That means there was something else with God, or what Allahim or Elohim, that he was not there by himself. And you say the world started in the world. This thing had existed before, because it says and replenished the earth, which means it had a beginning before we got where we are now. So what happened to that world?
But I just told you that the Bible says that the Most High created these beings, the other deities, the other deities.
Okay, could you give me the scripture?
Can I finish?
Sure.
All right, so the Bible says that the Most High, which is what I told you, created these beings before he created the earth. That's exactly what I told you. You went to the Bible and read something about a being that was there before the creation of the earth, which only you gave me the scripture that says exactly what I was telling you.
Well, you were talking about the day the world started, day one. I went
Yeah,
back before
but
day.
you read right. No, you're going to a previous scripture. The scripture you just read about someone being there, the Proverbs scripture. Someone being there. I guess you assumed it was a human. I'm assuming it was a celestial being, a divine being. Okay, well, we're on the same page then. Yep, it was a divine being that was there while the Most High created all of this. That's what he was testifying to. He didn't say he helped. He didn't say he was part of the creation. He didn't say he told Yahweh to do this. He said he witnessed it and observed it. And I told you it was other beings already created by the time all of this took place, which is what, it only lines up. So we're not saying nothing different.
No, I'm not saying the human, because there was no human there. We're talking about a spiritual realm, the energy of forthcoming. The point is this: you try to give me a day one, you still have not gave me a time when day one started.
Now, because the Bible don't give a time when day one starts. How am I going to give you a time when the Bible say day one started, when the Bible does not give that? So you want me to make stuff up?
No. Listen to me carefully. My point is this: we count on the Bible. Every year we got loopholes and blanks in it. Does not fill the gap, and that is that day one. When you go back and look at the origin of the Genesis creation story, it says every nation historically has a creation story, and minimum is older than the Genesis story, or the story in Genesis. Where did the priesthood that tabulated the Bible get their data from to write about a creation story? Are you familiar with Jewish myth and legends?
Not extremely familiar.
Okay, Sister Monica, I sent you a screenshot of Encyclopedia Britannica. Says Jewish myth and legend. Do you remember that? Could you pull that up?
Did you send it to my Facebook or to my phone?
Text. I think we texted to you and we had it. And I thank you in there. Or matter of fact, you can, and I hate using the word Google because they tend to want to go and adjust and readjust it. But when I started with the group out on Hillcrest and the Rabbi David Lyme, then there's a thing called the Jewish Encyclopedia that they use, and in it told us, because anyone that looks it up knows that this story was borrowed from the east, the northeastern, and was brought forward as they created it. So it says in here, and this is not, we're only going through because why do we use the Bible? Because 6.9 billion people consider this to be the word of God and to be on point, and they base their life on it, their livelihood on it. Yet at the same time, we negate the other thing that's older, yeah, that's older than this particular book, you know, and with thing it says, okay, all right,
The Book of Genesis presents two creation stories. In the first two,
I mean, two ain't the same. Go ahead.
God creates the world in 6 days, resting on the seventh, while the second focused on the creation of Adam and Eve. These accounts detail the creation of light, the firmament, land, sea, celestial bodies, and living creatures, culminating in the creation of humanity.
Lithia was the first wife of Adam. Lilith is the first wife of Adam. Okay.
Lilith, so mythological creatures. Lilith, a figure often depicted as Adam's first wife. She is portrayed as independent and powerful, but also associated with demons and infanticide. Golem, a creature brought to life from inanimate matter, usually clay, often serving as protector or helper to the Jewish community. Debuk, a wandering soul that possesses a living person, often driven by unfinished business or demonic influence. Three monstrous creatures associated with the end of days.
Yeah. The folklore.
Yeah, like Lilith was I am familiar with the legend of Lilith, and that's pseudepigrapha. It doesn't appear in the Bible, and the part of the Bible where they allege that it's talking about Lilith is rendered as a screech owl or a night owl or something like that. And yeah, so
it says Jewish myths and legends encompass a rich tapestry of narratives, including creation stories, tales of mythical creatures, and folklore surrounding historical figures and events. These stories, found in the Torah, Talmud, and other Jewish texts, often serve to teach moral lessons, explore theological concepts, and preserve cultural identity. All right, so hold on.
Type in Jewish myth and legend and bring it up. It says that the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis is classified as Jewish myth and legend. That is under Botanical, volume 10, page 191, second paragraph, and it states that the vast repertoire of Jewish myths and legends begin with the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis. Would you? It should be in there, which simply means the Bible has myth, metaphors, allegories, dogma, and legend. These are the things.
Yes, that's like what they label all religion as. So it's not really saying much to say that. Wait, hold on. I mean, I just, I give respect when people talk, and with all due respect. So what I'm saying is that every religion, including Ifa, everything you told me about Ifa earlier before we got on here, that would have been called Ifa myth and legend.
True.
So every religion out there is going to be called myth and legend to an atheistic society. And I'm not saying the entire society is atheistic, but science takes an atheistic approach. Even if the scientists believe in God, they're not supposed to bring that into the science field. So therefore, making science atheistic. So to science and that world, the scholastic world, yes, it's going to be looked at as myth. I don't believe none of this stuff is myth, though, and I don't think you do either.
So the actual two creation stories that are found in the first two chapters are considered under Jewish myth and legends.
And I wouldn't argue with the people that gave us the book. And the writer in the Barada Shah, which you call the New Testament, even the writer Paul in Galatians, 4th chapter, verse 20 and 21 says that the story of Abraham and Hagar is allegory.
So would you argue with them same writers when they say that Ifa, Orishas are myth, pure myth?
I would not argue with anyone about that. I would ask you and the data, because even our life itself that we're living today is a myth.
Okay,
and I would also say this. Let me also say this: is that Ifa does not refer to its myth and these stories as like to be 100% truth, but a thing to explain a situation to allow people to understand what's going on in their life. You can't read Ifa from front to back. You know, you go to a priest divines for you, and based on that, a story is told, and that story identifies with something within your life. And so that myth and that story is not like necessarily like considered to be like it's like that this is what really happened, but the story is to tell.
All right, so how did the earth get created according to the Ifa traditions, or do it not tell that?
Yes, it does.
And I think that it does
right,
tell them.
Hold on. I'm talking to Bible. I'm talking about.
But I do want to say this real quick, because I just made a statement that even in the Odu Ifa, that even it might tell a story, it is not considered to be a 100% fact about this exactly what happened. It's a parable meant to make a point about the certain thing. You understand what I'm saying? So there's stories.
Your creation story is a lie. I get it. Okay, so you want us to believe a lie. You want us. All right.
No.
So, Baba, can you tell us this Ifa creation
they don't like to hear
story?
from women.
No, it's not that. Is you going on about something else? And
no, I'm not going on about her. I'm
just
going on about
it's
exactly.
A lie.
No, I'm not saying no. That's
you
what
saying it's a lie. You're saying it's a lie. That Ifa admits it's a lie, and I don't think anyone in Africa. I don't think anyone in Africa would consider this shit a lie. It's y'all niggas in America that want to take African tradition and tell them people it's a fucking lie. They don't believe that, and they wouldn't like you saying that shit.
I think that they understand that these are Patakis. That's what they have.
No, the fuck they don't.
That's why they have a name for it called Pataki. These are stories meant to illustrate a point. Just like they have parables in English, Pataki, parable. So bottom line is these stories are meant to illustrate a point or to tell a story about something, to teach a lesson. That is the difference.
So it's a myth. So it's a myth.
Are they rooted in facts? Is there any facts or historical to
it's a lie. She just said they're lies. She said it's a lie. She said it's not supposed to be true. If it ain't true, it's a lie. I never said it was a lie,
but I said they were considered to be Patakis, just like a parable.
No, before that you said they're never considered. Ifa don't consider them to be true. You said that. They're not, like the Bible claims this stuff to be true. Ifa don't claim this stuff to be true. So you're telling us it's a fucking lie. If it's not true, it's a lie.
That is not exactly what I.
It's the truth or it's a lie. That is what you said. I mean, it's recorded this time.
That is not.
The back chat conversations aren't recorded.
It is recorded. It's on my channel and on this channel. So I'm streaming
you can't delete it
on both channels. So I'm not going to delete it.
Yeah, hold on. Let the brother gain the floor back to explain.
All right, I was trying to get these Ifa creation story narratives. Can you explain that, Bible?
The thing about it, in one of the stories, it talks about Obatala giving the command from Olodumare to come and to create the world. Same thing you find in your Bible, that he created a golden chain and came down and discovered the water, and he brought forth a chicken, a chameleon, etc., and then spread it out the earth. That's the but we understand the narrative of that nobody really came down with no golden chain or that thing. You look beyond what would be the golden chain that he came down on. It's almost like Jack and the Beanstalk.
DNA.
You talking about that?
Okay.
Wait. Now, brother, wait a minute. Please, family. We're trying to get an understanding on because we're only discussing things we've read and we took in and we accepted as a pattern of information. But the whole overall thing that I look at is how has this that we've learned elevated us out of our situation to a higher understanding of who we are and what we are in this diaspora. That's my point. I don't care if it's the Hebrew Israelite, Jack Rabbit, Duke Rabbit, whatever you studying, has it elevated your life to a place of peace of mind and bound between your celestial world and terrestrial world.
Absolutely.
And if that's it, there is no discussion. You already said. You already said.
All right, so let me ask you this.
I'm going to read this real quick before we go forward. In Yoruba language, pataki, all right, also spells patak. Pataki.
Don't nobody care about no patty cake.
No,
come on, man.
Listen, stop it.
I'm trying to respond to what he just said.
But hold on, I'm trying to explain to you something, and you just want listen. Refers to.
I wanted to respond, and you said, "Hold up."
But what? Listen.
Hold on. This is her show and his show. So if she want to break something
Karima, it's not like that. It's not, wait, Karima, it's not like that for real. It's not.
Okay, but if she want to break something down,
so they're having this show. They're having this show because she invited me on here. They didn't just automatically. This is the last minute show. I was on the call. Man, all right, well, I'm out. Y'all call me when y'all want some smoke. Fuck that shit.
Just want.
Okay.
No, it ain't no want.
No, continue. Just go continue, because like I said.
So you didn't. So you telling me I'm fucking lying right now?
No. When I explained to you what.
No, hold on, sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Just present your information. Stop trying to go back and forth with him, because clearly it's already getting off to a wrong start between y'all two. So just explain your information, okay? And then let the brother explain his information. Ain't nobody up here gonna cut nobody off the information, because I'm watching, and I'm pretty sure other people watching and trying to hear it. Ain't nobody gonna dictate what somebody gonna bring out and what they gonna be able to explain. Especially when these two is the persons that came at me. I don't know nothing about anything else. So I'm not gonna sit there and not defend the person that came at me for this opening. So continue.
So as it says, right? In Yoruba language, pataki, also spelled pataki, because he said, so your creation story is not considered to be fact. Well, what I'm trying to explain is to him is that we understood that these were stories meant to illustrate a point. We never felt like this thing came down onto a chain and went down and some chickens was plucking on the earth and blah 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 blah. We were smart enough to know that these were stories to illustrate a point. So in Yoruba language, pataki also spells pataki, refers to oral narratives, particularly those of Lukumi faith, Ifa, Santeria stories. These narratives are similar to parables in Christianity and are used to teach moral lessons. So we know we weren't stupid enough to think that the person came down onto a chain. So he asked, right? He says, listen, so what is your creation story? It's like, so I had to interrupt and say, well, hold on, because they're going to say, oh, the creation story, it says this, that, the other. Well, that sounds ridiculous. Well, we understood that it sounded, but that's not the point. We knew that this stuff was about a myth. We knew that it was about a story because these things are sang. The patakis are songs, okay? Whenever you hear a pataki, the Babalawo sings it in a song format to tell a story of something that happened. And then when they do the divination for the individual person, that person identifies with an aspect of that story. And that might be the story, because it'll be several different things underneath that pattern that says, okay, well, this is the thing I'm going through right here. This is it. And then from there, they say, okay, well, that's it. All right, well, this is what you need to do. You know? So
I think Neo wanted to hear from Baba, though. I think he wanted to ask Baba questions.
But the thing is that he wanted to go down a series of questions, and he wants to debate.
Neil wanted to debate, and I'm not going to do that because he don't want to go and look.
Hold on. I was called. Let me explain to everybody. I was called because, for the simple fact, I was told that this brother was getting interrupted on whatever panel that y'all was on, and he needs to present his information because you opened the panel for him and the sister. All this other stuff I don't know nothing about. So I want him to present his information. After he presents his information, Then y'all can question the information that's presented. All these asking questions in between him trying to present information is dead.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate
Yeah. Well, I think we when talking with the brother earlier, the purpose was to set this up so we come on and tell them. I'm trying to show the importance of Ifa in today's world and why we can it can be used to help benefit our life, both economically, socially, and in our family. Because right now we're in a time now of a metamorphosis where you're finding more mental illness, and people are doing things because they have no real source to go to try to find answers. A lot of people are leaving the world of religious, organized religion, and they're in search of something that they can count on. That's definitely want to bring it. Count on that they can count on to help them to make it through. Take it out of the group and go into individual, because it's about the elevation of the individual. So we're going to come on today and show them why, first and foremost, that every family at this tasting time needs somebody in that family that understands the concept of divination, how to communicate with our ancestors to get answers. The young man today was almost to the point of, I guess, suicide in my book, because he couldn't get answers from nobody. He'd been to a bunch of babalaos and preachers and things and couldn't get no answer. And after we talked for about an hour and 15 minutes, he was able to see things and calm down and address. What is the most important thing in an individual's life? Peace of mind, being able to deal with your life and the things you encounter. What do I use to do that? Well, we were taught men ought to always pray and not faint. But there is a system that was given us by our ancestors that goes back hundreds of thousands of years that they use to solve the differences. Somebody asked the question, well, if the God was so powerful, the African God was so powerful, why did we go into slavery? Well, then you have to ask the white family, why did they God let them go into slavery? Because there's a book was written by Michael Huffman II, said they were white and they were slaves. So slavery wasn't only among our people, it was among the Irish and the Celtic people as well. And every nation have gone through a era of what they call servitude or slavery, and they all had gods. Some said, well, because of our disobedience. Disobedience? What did we do? And that's why we have to find out, when you're talking about the word slave, it comes the word Slav. And that deals with a people that's in servitude. It's not a culture, it's a situation or a time that you go through. And in it, a lot of people evolve. A lot of, so to me, from life experience, I've been through most of the mainline religions. I went to the school to study theology, which means theology means the study of Greek gods, where theme is a Greek god. And then I went into divinity school to understand spirituality. And this is why I came to love Ifa, because I've seen many similarities in most so-called man-structured religion that had to have a taste of this in it to give some validity to it. So in doing so, it taught me how to deal with my family and family problems. My children know what when something go wrong, let's go to dad and see what dad can do, and let him contact the ancestors. Because there was a system that they created, a binary system, an algorithm that we could communicate with our ancestors on the other side. And that I found it to be the system of Ifa. I'm not saying right or wrong. All I say, it works for me, and those that I've taught these 50 odd years, it has worked for them. And those that come in contact with it that I've taught has worked for them. And the whole key now is learning how to deal with your daily situation, where it requires a choice of right or wrong, or should I not? Where do I get my answer? Well, a person of religion said, well, I will pray and ask for God for the answer. But how you know that when you pray that you get the answer? You need a right now answer. So I'll go back and tell them the story of David and how he used the ephod or the Urim theorem to give answers the same way that the God of the Hebrews gave them the tool. He could have told them go to the priest and pray, but every deity told their folks. Some use Sanskrit, some use Urim theorem, some use different techniques to get there, but it's always a way to communicate with the other side. And that's what I say to Ifa. And when you look up the history of it, our ancestors always had a system in place to communicate with our ancestors, be it through medium, be it through oracles. You know, we always had a way to reach and talk, even though we was told not to, but everybody do it. You know, even in Christianity, you pray to a man, to a deity that's hung on a cross. You say that this man going to save you. You got one to go to the Kaaba and they pray to a black stone. You got everybody have something they go to. So why not be able to go to somebody in the family that has spiritual knowledge? I'm 79 years old. Many back in the 60s and 70s, there was a group called spiritualists. They wore a lot of white, and they was called fortune tellers and this and that. But they was permanent in our community, and they would always be able to help you with your spiritual journey of your physical need. Same thing in the movie Sinners. Everything I've ever seen that where they brought in, somebody had to have a divine connection to that. Even in Predator, you had to have somebody had to be able to divine with the bones, the shells, or whatever, to communicate with the other side. Just praying, your words was not, because in order for your prayer, you have to reach a certain qualification to get through that veil, to get through that vortex, through that portal, to communicate with the other side. Here, Ifa teaches us a method that's instant, right now, get the job done. You know, it even tells you, and in the book, Ifa in the complete work of Orunmila, it tells you in the introduction about this thing, the philosophy, the facade, how it was hid, and for long it was an oral tradition, and it has this myth and full things. But in the myth, it explains you life lessons and how to deal with it. If I talk too fast, please forgive me. But most folks just trying to challenge a question with a question, and until you've had life experiences, do we run into it. And I appreciate my brother who wanted me to come on and talk about Ifa. So to me, one of the most important thing in the black family today, with all the chaos and confusion in our children, we need a system that we can go to and contact and work with our ancestors. Among the Hispanic, they got a day called the Day of the Dead. They celebrate and they go out there. We got a day we call Black History Month in February, but we should be able to do this on a daily basis when we got problems. Is there any questions so far?
I also wanted to to show E5 as a database, you know, to break down the mathematics. So let's go in here. E5 divination is a complex system of divination originating from the Yoruba people of Nigeria, a widely practiced throughout the African diaspora. It involves a diviner known as a Babalawo who interprets a literary corpus of verses and mathematical formulas to guide individuals or groups in making important decisions. Ifa is not based on spirit mediumship. That's the biggest thing I want people to know, because people will say, I want to go into that, but rather a structured system of signs and interpretation. Let's go into that, because people will think that you are communicating with a spirit or like some kind of like ancestor, but no, it's a number comes out, the story comes out, you tell the story lines up, you know. So look, can we go into that?
I'll be right back.
And I just wanted to like really make that plain, is that it's not a matter of that the spirit is telling me this, the spirit's telling me that. When you go to a Babalawo, there's no spirit telling the Babalawo anything. What's happening is as you can see right here, what I was showing here, when I was showing the Odu. Okay, first let me go back. Let me go into the actual database of numbers. But let me just show this. Hold on. The 256. So there's 16 minor Odu, or major Odu, and 256 minor Odu, right? And actually, when you thought about computers when they first started out, you had 256 megabytes and stuff like that. So this was the computer of the ancient times. There was no computer. There was no search engines. The Babalawo was the search engine. Before you had AI, you would go to the Babalawo, ask the Babalawo a question. The Babalawo would come with a number. That number associates with a pataki, a story. So let me go into the actual, let me just like name a few of the Odus so you could get an idea. Let me. I had the Odus. Let's go into the Odus. So this is not like So here are like just the idea of some of the parables. So Agbe, the supporter, is the manifestation of pure light. Is the expansion of light from source outward in practical terms. So Agbe is the first Odu. So this is how things come into existence, right? It is movement without opposition or open road. Okay. Agbe, as an expression of spiritual growth, represents perfect alignment with destiny. Ifa teaches that every person chooses a destiny before returning to Earth in the cycle of reincarnation. Atumwa, Ifa teaches that if a person lives in harmony with their destiny, nature will provide a blessing of long life, abundance, and family. Failure to live in harmony with destiny generates illness, poverty, and isolation. Ifa teaches that if a person is unsure about their destiny, they should live in alignment with the principle of good character, because everyone is believed to be inherently good. When a person is in perfect alignment with their destiny, the most imminent problem is possibly of moving out of alignment. When Agbe appears, it brings an admonition to remain vigilant in the process of manifesting good character. The negative manifestation of Agbe in personal terms is arrogance. So what happens is that you get a reading and say Agbe comes out, and that is 2 lines. So you have 1 and you have 2, right? So Agbe is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 going down, like in like a let's see, let me show you Agbe, just so you guys get an understanding of how the system works. Agbe Meiji, right? So, or Edgy Agbe, that's what it's called, right? So let's get a picture of it. So, I'm sorry, 1 1. I'm sorry, my bad. Edgy Agbe is 1 1 1 1 1 1. So Agbe is 1 1 1 going down. Oyeku is 2 2 2 2 going down, right? So when the Babalao throws the chain, you get 1 or you get 2. You get a combination of variables based on what they throw. Based on that, then you have like this outcome, whether it be Agbe, Oyeku, or whatever. So 1 is life, the supporter. 1 could be that you are going into a spirit of darkness or change or whatever. So death in Ifa does not necessarily mean just end a cycle, but it also means, well, not end of your life, but end of a cycle. So therefore, you might be going through something, and it might be like, okay, that's the end of that thing, and now you're on to something different. So Oyeku, the mother of the spirit of death, is a elision of praise Oyeye Iku, meaning spirit of the mother of death. In simple terms, Oyeko is darkness, the complete contraction of matter into what physics calls as a black hole. In human terms, this can mean physical death. More commonly, it refers to the end of a cycle. When a baby is born, there's an end of a cycle of living in the womb. When a teenager becomes an adult, there's an end of a cycle of dependency on the parents. In Ifa, the end of life on earth marks the beginning of life in the realm of ancestors, Orun. Yoruba word for black is dudu, and is associated with Oyeku as a symbol of invisible dimension, the source of creation. Oyeku is the end of cycle can bring a blessing of peace. In its negative manifestation, Oyeku represents premature ending of cycle that may not result in full maturity or benefit. So, okay, when you break this down, right, get a reading, Agbe comes out. If you're in alignment, that means you're doing good, whatever. If you're not, that means you might be a little bit arrogant. You might be like not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. Oyeko means, hey, doing good. It might be, hey, it's just the end of this cycle. You're about to like go to another cycle. You might be going from one part of your life to another. In what they would call, like, if you're out of balance, because it's called imbalance or out of balance, that might be that you might be close to like experience some kind of a worse in the cycle, which might be that illness, something like that. So this is a whole thing, is a system of diagnosis of a problem, figuring out what's wrong, and how, and then on top of that, after that, then you get like like some kind of a prescription that says, okay, well, if you are going to either to maintain equilibrium or to get you out of what we call osogbo, which is might be, bad, out of balance. So either you're in balance or you're out of balance. So that is exactly what Ifa is. It's weight. You cannot think in your mind of Ifa the same way you think of Christianity or any Abrahamic faith. This go ahead, yeah.
I'm just opening straight, and that's where we come into conflict with things, because they want to make it like any other religion, when Ifa is not a religion. It's a way of life and a spiritual elevation to help us to understand our journey in this realm, to make our journey more in alignment with purpose and destiny. And that's what's wrong with a lot of folks today. And why I came to it, my testimony, when I left the mainline religion, and as a pastor, and I want y'all to know I was doing pretty good financially, you understand? But when I gave that up for spiritual enrichment, I learned a lot of things about life and how to pursue certain things. And then I learned how to do this thing called divination. Though a lot of things said it ain't, I kept finding it. When I studied with the Muslim, they call a thing called Sanskrit. Their divination is called Sanskrit. Then one group, they had this, they had that. But it all comes down to thing, being able to communicate with the source to get answers. So after being in it some 50 plus years now, and I'm still doing it, my children understand it. Now, all my children do not follow the practice. When they got problems, they call on dad. I am the priest of the family. Right now, I've got my baby boy and my one of my oldest grandsons is in the process of studying the art, because when my time comes to transition, someone has got to be in the family, one of the males or females, that when the family is having problems, they can go through and we can give them the formula and the remedy. And as Sister Monica was saying, and a lot of folks don't realize that it's a lot of parables and things or patriarchies in the Bible. And I use it because why the Bible? Because that is one of the most popular books in society today. And it's most read but less understood. And in it, I showed people, and I'm so thankful. I am so thankful that I had a chance to study with those people that was the orchestrated and authors behind the book. I don't know of no person of color that ever wrote the book of Genesis, authored the book of Deuteronomy. It's always been called Judeo-Christian or the Jewish thing. And I would go to the priesthood, and ask them questions. That's why I found out it's best to understand biblical history as opposed to legends and et cetera, et cetera. And as I studied, I found out that the Jewish people, which you can't write their name in the language, only studies 24 books. Everybody that's got all these other books and understand nothing. So when I asked them, why is the book of Proverbs, Psalm, and Job in the section of the Bible called poetry? Why is it there? He said those books came out of a thing called the numbers and the letters, which is used in the occult. I said, the occult in the Bible? He said, yes. And what I found out, my beloved sister, I love that name. And you're a good host. I promise you. I like the energy how you stepped in and handle your business. In the book of Psalms 119, that is the book of spell breaking or binding. What? So if someone had a full hard copy, you might can put up online. You need a full copy because, well, now it gives you that, but actually the book Psalms 119, if you can pull up a literary page, there are alphabets that are signed. It just gave you the answer right there. Go back. There is 8 verses per each letter. It's only 8 verses per letter. And when a situation comes and they divine, they're Aleph. That's one. Okay, let's go. Aleph. And when you read, go back. You just hit it on the head. Aleph. When that come up in a reading, it says, "Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord." It goes deeper. That is like a patriarchy. When that come up, it tells you. Then it says, "Blessed are they that keep his testimony, that seeketh with what? Seeking him with his whole heart. They also do no iniquity, and they walk in his ways." We talk about being in perfect. that's almost like Akbay, walking in alignment with your destiny and your purpose.
I left, and that was that's the first psalm. So there is some level of like connection that even within like the Torah that is in alignment with Ifa, if you know how to
understand the lettering. And they taught me that. Go to the next letter. Go to bed. That's the next one. Go to bed.
Hold on, I gotta find the one that's showing all the numbers. I think I had the NIV up first. And
you want the King James and you want
right, so Aleph, Bet.
The next one is Bet. Bet 9. How can a young person stay on the path of purity? By living according with what? Your word. That's about integrity. You see my point I'm making?
Yeah.
See, and
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Okay. And the only difference is that, hey, if someone throws something out and it comes up Aleph,
when they read it, or Aleph or Bet, let's go to the next one. I'm gonna give about 5 of them right quick.
Gimel.
It says, "Be good to your servant while I live, that I may obey your word. Open your eyes that I may see." It's a request to be in alignment with balance. It says that I'm a stranger on the earth. Okay, do not hide your what? He's talking about creator. Don't hide your instruction from me, that I may live by your law. And rebuke what? Arrogance. Who are to curse those who stay from. All right, go to the next one. Remove me from the scorn. Dalit. That means door. I am laid low in the dust. And it's 8 verses per letter. It's 22 letters in that. These 22 letters is tied to the 22 chromosomes in the body. Well, and in the book Cosmic Creation by Jaguar, he breaks each one of them down and says, and this is the law that was given to Moses. I ain't never heard no Hebrew Israelite talk about this particular law. But it's all following the same thing that he followed do. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. That's David. What's the next one? He. Now, this is written in Babylonian script because in the answer, teach me, Lord, thy ways of your decree, and that I may follow it to the end. It's about obedience. Give understanding so that I may keep your law and obey it within. What law? Laws of the universe. We break these laws. We break the laws of nature daily. We eat food out of season. We break season and we want blessings. Everything must be done within this season. Ifa teaches that. That's why we contact Auset. Auset is the herb, Orisha, that governs the herbs and the various seeds that we need. So why, matter of fact, in the scripture, in the New Testament, we call him Yahshua, what we call, told the folks, always pray to the God of harvest. The God of harvest is in the scripture. When you pray, you promote agriculture, pray to the God of harvest.
Can we bring that up? The God of harvest, but I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose that spot. So
yeah, it says in that it says, pray to the God of harvest found in the Bible. Let's type that in and see if we can get a read on it. Everything is relatable if we take our head out the sky and come down to common sense. We got all emotional, and when that comes, we can't think. I learned a long time ago. A lot of folks here to argue. I listen to learn. When you speak and listen, I might not agree, but we can agree to disagree. But if it's in your face,
yeah. So that's in Matthew 9:38. Pray ye therefore the Lord of harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest.
Yeah, come on now. So I pray to the Lord of harvest in what? Charge of the harvest. I ask to send more workers into the field. So you say you need help, then you got to pray to the God of harvest. You want your crop to be right? Pray to the God of harvest. But I thought we all had one. And here's another clicker. People don't realize that Yahweh or Yahweh was a mountain deity. a mountain deity. You got deities of the desert, deities of the water, and so forth and so on. Now, I asked the question of the, where did God come from? What did the Bible say God came from? Habakkuk 3:3, Sister Monica, in the Bible. Because I'm going to write this book. Of Habakkuk 3:3. Not near Habakkuk. There it is, 3:3. You're in NIV, but it's going to read a little different.
Now I'll switch it over.
Okay. God came from Tema, and the Holy One came from Mount Paran. Switch it over to the KJV. God came from Tema, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Where is Tema? And where's Mount Paran? Well, if you go to Deuteronomy 33, verse 1, watch this. Deuteronomy 33rd chapter. Verse 1, King James, and it reads, and this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel. Next verse, before his death. Next verse, watch this. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. And he shined forth from what? Mount Paran. And he came with 10,000 saints from his right hand, with which the fiery law came. Now, where is Mount Paran? It told you came from Tema, so Tema must be in that area. And it goes on further to say, then it says, and yet he loved the people. Then they talk about another nation called Jeshurun. Here we go right in. Whoa, right there. And he was king in, go back. He was king in Jeshurun when the heads of, well, you got to slow down here. Now, Jeshurun is supposed to be the righteous name. So now, if Moses was the king of Jeshurun, how could he be the king of Israel when the king of Israel, first king of Israel was Herod? This is a whole other nation. Look at Deuteronomy 33:26. Said there is no God like the God of Jeshurun. 33:6. 26, 30, 26, go up. There is no God like to the God of Jeshurun, who rideth on the heavens in his health and in his excellence over the sky. Bam. Psalm 68:4. He says, call my name. He didn't say Yahweh, to call my name Yah. Psalm 68:4. Go there. Psalms 68, verse 68, verse 4. Now look, and look at the description. Look at the description. Sing unto God, sing praise unto his name, extol him that ride up on the hill by the name of what? Not Jah, because ain't no J in the language. Yah, and rejoice. There is no J in the Hebrew language. So that's it, but it is Yah. And rejoice before him. Sing unto God, sing praise to his name, extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name. That's the same word you read in 33:26. And what was his name? Yah. Because there is no J in the Hebrew language. All Greek, there are no J's. We got Yehovah, Yahakawa, and all this other stuff. It says, extol me by my name. And this is what we did to King David, how to approach God by this name. What I got to do with these now is that you go back and look at all of this and carry it to its origin. A lot of this comes out of the IJ. It comes out of the language. So we get in disputes over other men, and then we don't want to do the research because we want to stand on the rock that I know. I know nothing except what is revealed, and that was revealed is revealed through the oracles. What is the oracles? You know.
In Yoruba culture, IJ is not just about material wealth, but also divine force that governs trade, enterprise, and abundance. It's a concept that is deeply intertwined with spirituality
and economic activity.
IJ is also recognized as an Orisha deity in Yoruba spirituality, often associated with the goddess of the sea, Olokun, who embodies the mysteries and riches of the ocean. Prayers and rituals are performed through IJ for blessings of wealth and prosperity. Yeah. And then they go into
Iyami. You know, so we have a lot to learn and a lot we need to understand and learn. But I want to appreciate, and I would love to come and just take this really to an elementary level, step by step, and show the importance of having it. Even if you want to practice a twofold concept of spirituality, if you want to, it can all be brought to a blend to give you what you need. There's no argument. We don't argue about other religions. That's a choice you make. But if you want to grow, if you want to elevate yourself and grow spiritually, then Ifa is the way to go. If you want to practice a lot of other things and you want to go out and shoot firecrackers and kill half a dozen goats and 34 chickens and 11,000 dozen eggs and all that stuff, that's your choice. But when it comes to spiritual elevation, Ifa is the most best formula to use to elevate your family and get answers to your situation in your life rather than going through a lot of other unnecessary changes. You get direct answers. We're in a time now where we need direct, instant answers. We ain't got time to wait for the thunder, the lightning, the lightning flash, the thunder, the roar, and the rain come down. We need some. When you go into a situation of life and death, you need an answer right then. And I guarantee you, if you divine and understand the binary algorithm system, you will get your answer. And if you act on it, I'm assured that it will come through. I had a live experience a couple of weeks ago, and if I had already told me what was about to happen, I'm getting this unction from the spirit because many times Orumla will speak to his devotees in dreams and in visions. It's not always through the divination, because if you're not, it will speak to you in your inner consciousness. And it told me, if you don't take care of this, you won't make it past your earth rise. I acted around and was going to try to get past it. I wound up going to the hospital early Monday morning. I got where I couldn't hardly breathe. When I got to the hospital, they rushed me to the hospital. They pulled off 2.5 gallons of water off my lung and heart, off my lungs. Had I listened to E5 at first, I could have dodged that. But being hard-headed, you know, being a man, don't want to go to the doctor, don't want to get checked up, walking death.
So could that be the reason why we probably got caught up? That they caught that, you know, because he did. So let's go back to the original question. So if we had this system to teach us what would happen, right? Yeah. Why did we end up in slavery? If this system is so powerful, why did we end up? So go ahead.
The reason is because of being disobedient to the rules and the guidelines of the rules and laws of nature. That's why. And every nation have been in some form of servitude or slavery on this planet. That's the documented fact.
And is it because of disobedience in some level?
It's a level of disobedience of failing to adhere to your purpose and being, because when everybody leave, you came in the world with an assignment and a purpose. When you do not do that, then everything goes out of balance. And not only that, like I told the guy today, there are many things on this planet, because the earth is a school. This place you call the earth on this planet, the 12th star. Weak Millers came from the 13th and 14th star. The 14th star is the place called Nibiria, a planet called Nibiria. That's what the Dogon saw. And this is the 13 because everything operates on the number 13 in this realm. A lot of folks don't even know that. That's why we got 13 constellations, not 12. And we've been out of balance ever since that the so-called Greeks them went in and changed the format from 13 to 12 because they couldn't deal with that feminine energy. And they began to become sun worshipers. When the book tell you it ain't the sun, it's the moon. Psalms 104 verse 19 says that 104 verse 19 says that the moon is for season and the sun is for setting. I believe that's right.
What was it? What was it? What song? What was it?
Verse I think 19. Let's go there.
Which one? 104?
Yeah, Psalms 104, because that's the book you look into. And I think you want to look at verse 19. I follow the book, but I understand the book is for reference. There it is. He appointed the moon for what seasons? The sun knoweth it's going down. The sun has no instruction but no go up and down. But and the moon is for seasons. So you should govern things by the moon. Even our calendar that you're following, it was designed by the African sisters, and we've had it before over there in the caves over there in the Lobombo cage 43,000 years ago, based off the moon and the menstrual cycle. Even our scene is based off the moon and its cycle and its movements. Ifa teaches us that. Ifa teaches us this. Then you can always double check it for check and balance.
So let's go into this, the 16 truths of Ifa. For those that might be confused about what Ifa is.
Here we go. There is a singular creator, not God creator. There is no devil. I like this third one, except for the day you were born and the day you are supposed to die. Not die, supposed to. There is no single event in your life that cannot be forecast by Ifa, and when necessary, change. It is your birthright to be happy, successful, and fulfilled. You should grow and obtain wisdom during the process of life. You are reborn through your blood relatives. Heaven or room is home, and earth is the mark. And I'm saying the earth is the marketplace, and every entity and every other galaxy comes here to the marketplace to either get minerals or things or get stuff it needs. We are in a constant passage between the two. You are part of the universe in a literal and not a figurative way. You must never initiate harm to any other human being. You must never harm the universe of which you are part of. 11. Come on up, 11. There you go. Your temporal and spiritual capacity must work together. You are born with a specific path. It is your goal to travel it. Divination provides the roadmap. Our ancestors exist and must be honored, and they exist where they exist in us. It says sacrifice guarantee success, and that can come in many forms. Orisha live within us, and you have no need of fear. Those are the 16 truths. Like you got your 10 commandments, well, those are your 16 truths. But we don't want to do that because it's too simple and too easy. We make things hard, so it make us feel better about ourselves. That is not the name of the game.
And I do want to go into this because people think that Ifa is voodoo, that we do things against people. No, any person that really practices Ifa,
we don't do that.
Yeah,
you said it. Come on, say it. We don't do that. So you can't say that because we're not trying. Look, we're so busy trying to elevate ourselves. We ain't got time to worry about your stuff. This is what draws me to Ifa. And what it did, it taught us.
Now, Osby said something. He said number 9 is the key why they took us into slavery. Because he says that's the reason why we became slaves, because in our tradition, we don't believe that we should initiate harm. So But is there a part of right? So how could we fight back if we don't believe that we should harm anyone?
Only the thing about it, then when you're being attacked, you have the right to defend what you have, but you don't go out and initiate things. And a lot of times we find out a lot of these things are carry overs from past lives. We have people carry over grudges things because of petty stuff. Even in everyday life, you got people now won't speak all because you borrowed my earring and you didn't give them back to me 30 years ago. Well, she took my husband. I ain't gonna do that. And then he done married somebody else. You married, but you holding a grudge against that person. Another thing is, and I want to go here. Everything on this planet is not kin. We have a natural enemy. Everything in society and earth has a natural enemy. It's just the way it is. That's the way it's gonna be. So everybody you see, even though they may look like you, they could be a natural enemy through nature. The mongoose and the snake ain't got no business hanging out together because they're what? They're unnaturally foes. You see what I'm saying? Think about it. Everything in the earth has a negative or have a foe that exists that make it cause it to exist. Priscilla Bagby. Yes, I got to call her back. Maybe that don't make sense. Well, ain't we all human beings? Excuse my French. Hell no. The word human being, if you look the etymology up, that's something you really don't want to deal with. But we are spiritual beings, supreme beings among a world of only the Creator know what is. And the odd thing is this: if I went to the Bible, and I think it's Genesis 6. Genesis 6. Go there for a second. I'm gonna show you something. Why you use about? Because this is the book people believe in. They'll fight you tooth and nail behind, but they don't understand none of it. And I heard the brother mention the pseudepigrapha. I have pseudepigrapha 1 and 2 volume on my shelf. I can go through the whole. I got the thesis and prophecies of Shem, where it already predicted what's going to happen from last year to this year. What we're going through now, it's already in prediction, and it's already active. But let's go there, Genesis chapter 6, and I want to show you something. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters of men were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took to them wives of all they what? Chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that is also his flesh. Yet his days shall be 120. Now, who is these beings that come and had babies by the daughters of men, and they wasn't angels, because angels ain't supposed to have, androgynous can't have babies. So who was these giants? And God saw the wickedness of man grew in the earth, and they were what? In their very imagination, and the thought of his heart was only evil continuously. It repented the Lord that he even made man on earth and grieved him at his heart. Only thing he repented that we were so submissive to the other beings. The Lord said, I will destroy man whom I created. In other words, stop right there. The Lord said, I will destroy man whom I created. The Lord didn't create everything. It's on the earth. That's why he could only destroy what he created, because he couldn't destroy another man, another entity's stuff. He said, and these are the generations of Noah. Noah was
wait, and now I think about, hold on, wait, go back, hold on now, wait. So there was beings already here.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Wait, and the Lord said, okay, hold on. So hold on. And it came to pass when men began to multiply, daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, so were the sons of God the giants? Because I'm like, what?
These were your Anakims and your Anunnakis. These are the deals everybody talk about that were giants that they're finding remains of. These are the sons of God, not God, but the gods. They left that part off. And they had daughters, they had children by it, and these children became giants among, and keep reading. Look what happened.
God saw that the wickedness of men was great in the
earth, and that it, okay, but keep on going, there's some more to it. And the Lord said, I will destroy
that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And he repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him in his heart. Okay, and Lord said, I will destroy man whom I've created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing in the fowl of the air, for repent of me that I've made them. Now in the King James they talk about, and these men became mighty men among men. These giants became mighty men among giants. So if you go to the KJV, it's a part that they left out of the NIV. These men became giants, King James 6, it says multiplied in the earth, and these men became mighty men in the earth. Yeah.